The following audio may contain the personal testimonials of some OPTAVIA coaches or clients of OPTAVIA. The results relayed in these messages are based on the unique experiences of the participants, and we cannot guarantee like or similar outcomes. While you may be inspired by these accounts, please note that any stories of success have not been verified and your individual path to optimal health will vary. As always, it is our recommendation that you consult with a healthcare provider before starting a weight loss program. Yours in health, the OPTAVIA team.
Hi everyone, I'm Lisa Castro and you are on the Habits of Health call, and I'm so glad that you came, especially tonight, because we're going to be talking about something that's a little on the heavy side yet. We're going to end it with a light note, but I hope it is so helpful because we're going to be diving in to some of the thoughts we have. And what I mean by that, we're going to ask, do you have a healthy relationship with your thoughts? What does that mean? Do you have a healthy relationship with your thoughts? That's something Dr. A likes to talk about. And he likes to think, okay, so when we're interacting with our mind, that's who we're talking to most of the time throughout a day over anyone else. I asked my husband what he thinks about when he's quiet, and he says sometimes it's just nothing. Us women, typically, it's like a million thoughts are going so fast that sometimes we can't even isolate what the thought is. So what I wanted to ask you, when you think of mindfulness, which describes you? Beware of your thoughts or be aware of your thoughts? Which one pertains to you? Go ahead and put it in the chat and let me know what you're thinking about. Are you somebody that is scared, afraid of what's going through your head? Or you're like, that's what's going through my head. We're gonna be talking about that. So I look forward to seeing your interaction on this one. Okay, all right, here we go. All right, so many times in OPTAVIA, you hear about lifelong transformation, and we focus a lot on the healthy body, but we want to talk about the healthy mind, because I'm going to tell you, so many of the clients that we've coached, even the health coaches that have had amazing journeys, they would say most times when they're getting through their journey, it's the healthy mind that they've enjoyed even more than the healthy body, when both are great, but one without the other doesn't seem to happen. So that's why we want to focus on the healthy mind, and as Dr. A comes up out with the new version of the Habits of Health, he's going to be really focusing on the healthy mind. So let's kind of dig in for that, because you're going to hear things about taking responsibility. We play above the line. If you've been on the calls before, you've heard presentations on this very topic, including when I've shared that. And when we're talking about being below the line, see the line in the middle? It's about our thoughts. Our thoughts can be blaming people, making excuses for ourselves, denying what's really going on because we can't face it. What if we're making excuses or criticizing, or we're coming from a place of shame and guilt? Those are all things that are from below the line. Although that they're real feelings we have, though, that's okay to do that. But it's about shifting above the line. What can you do to take ownership of your choices, your thoughts, being accountable to them, taking responsibility for what you're doing and the choices you're making? So our thoughts, it typically starts with emotion, then thoughts, and then the action to follow. So exercise our mind. There's a big word called reconceptualize. And that's talking about actually reprogramming the brain with consistency, frequency, and duration. It's actually called neuroplasty. They used to think you couldn't change your brain after a certain age. Now they're realizing there are so many things that can be done and changed. You can even do mental exercises to change some of your thought processes. So it's true, or it actually is not true that you can't teach a new dog new tricks, because you can, if the old dog wants to learn new tricks. Some people say, oh, this is just the way it is. That's the way I always am. This is my thought. I can't help it. But would you like to? So manage your mind. First, be aware of your thoughts, not ignoring them or denying them or judging them. Or sometimes we'll even go say something like, be looking in the mirror and you're feeling overweight and scruffy and whatever the negative feelings are going on, and what you actually are seeing in the mirror might not be what you like, but you might say, oh, I'm so beautiful, I'm so skinny. That's called lying to yourself. But if you say, I am going to do things to become the person I want to be, how could I be the best version of myself? I'm going to strive towards that. That's a whole different mindset. When we lie to ourselves, we're actually creating more of issues in our thought process, because we're feeling like, well, that's not true. And doubts start popping in, and it's a back and forth battle in the mind. So just face the current reality, not judge yourself. Don't ignore it. Just say, well, how could I do something about it? What do I want it to look like? So assess the thoughts versus obsessing over the thoughts. How many times do we have that, oh, I'll never make it, I'm just da-da-da. And we can have that same thought go through our head repeatedly, over and over and over. Instead, stop. What's going on there? Be honest with yourself, as I was saying. Be honest about what those thoughts are. It's a reality, okay, so that's the thought. What do I do with it? Practice, stop, challenge, choose. When you hear that thought going through your head, what could you do? You can stop, interrupt a limiting thought by saying, stop, out loud, literally. And now if you're around people, it might be a little weird that you're saying stop and they're like, stop what? But if you're by yourself or you're having a thought and it comes into your mind about, gosh, I'm just gonna fail at this. I've tried so many diets before and it's, stop. Or even I found myself saying this doubting thought and it was repeating in my head as I woke up, and I thought, all of a sudden out loud, just from doing, practice of it, I found myself saying, I said out loud, I said, that's a lie. That's a lie. It was not a true thought going through my head. So I actually called it out. If you're in a public place, you might say, it'll stop the thought right then and there. And that also causes you to get into a curiosity mindset. Deep abdominal breaths will also be great for stopping. You've heard that with Dr. A, stop, challenge, choose. And I'm going to really emphasize that it's the abdominal breaths and deep abdominal breaths. If it's like, that actually feels more stressful than breathing with your abdomen, slowing down. Just let it breathe in slowly, hold, exhale slowly, and you repeat that. It actually causes this calmness to go through the body, especially if you're feeling a strong emotion. Take a couple of deep breaths. Okay, a couple of swigs of water. I've got my water right here. Matter of fact, I'm going to take a drink right now. And that being the case, another thing that you could do is literally just shifting the body position. You can actually just smile. Smile actually will shift something, or just say it's something that makes you feel grateful. So then you challenge yourself, ask and answer even, discuss triggering thoughts. Gosh, what was going on there? I wonder why I was thinking that. I wonder what that person was thinking when they did that. Just being curious. You don't even have to know the answer. It just changes it. Why were they doing that? I don't think they're, instead you're coming from a place of, wonder what's going on in their life that they would react that way. I wonder what's going on in my life. Did I get enough sleep last night? Maybe that's what's triggering this. You're thinking it through, being aware of the thought. Be aware, not beware, but be aware of the thoughts and be curious once you recognize them. Because I'm going to be showing you some pictures later and I want you to really think what just went through your head. Not the immediate thing, but kind of explore it a little bit. What does this mean? What's going on in my head? Why did I think that I needed this junk food right now? I had a stressful day today. Write it down. What caused that thought? Then you'll start seeing a pattern that you can start challenging yourself on. And so then the next thing, whoops, went backwards there. We already stopped, we're challenging, and now we're choosing. Stop, challenge, choose. What am I going to do today regarding that identified thought? When you recognize that stress is causing you to seek out food that maybe not on your plan or not healthy for you. What will lead you to your desired outcome is the question you're asking yourself. Will this lead me closer to my outcome? Is what you're asking when you're challenging yourself. You're in the driver's seat. You get to decide. That's the cool thing. That mind can be a really strong driver for moving you forward, or it can be one that can truly hold you back depending what your thoughts are. Shift. Can you guys name some ways to shift above the line? Anybody know ways to shift above the line? I'm not able to see the chat right now, so I'm going to have you guys just fill it in and just go crazy with some of those shifting for people that are aware of that. I'm going to now see how many of you had things beyond what I had written down. Prayer, meditate, quiet time, walk, read a book, phone a friend. I see a lot of people putting things in there. That's great. I see the number just soaring there. How about a gratitude statement? You can do that in a heartbeat. I am so grateful. And especially if you say something grateful that didn't go well, like a car broke down. Broke down again. All you have to do is say, at least I have a car. There's a lot of people that don't have one. I'm grateful for that. How about giving somebody a hug? There's something about that body contact with another human being that makes all the difference in the world. Or even to say, could you give me a hug? I just did that to my husband today. It felt good and I found myself giggling coming out of the hug. Just never know, even laughter, a smile. And then Remember your powerful why. If you don't have a strong why, it doesn't mean you can't do it, but think of something deeper. If you think you have your why for why you're on your journey, ask yourself, why do you want that? And then even dig deeper, if that's the case, why do you want that? Until you come up with something that drives you to say, I want that, and something positive. If you say, I don't want to, you're not going to find yourself in a positive state. But if you say, I can't wait until, because this is what I want in my life. So practice, stop, challenge, choose. That's just a mindset that I have now. I do it without even thinking about it. So there's times when I need to think about it because I'm not applying it. Okay, here's some of those pictures I was telling you about. And this is pretty strong emotion. What does that do for you? What do you think her thoughts are? Did any thoughts go through your head? Did you have a day like that? Oh my gosh. What is her thoughts? What emotion is she experiencing? What's she going through? Is she letting her thoughts just take her down? Well, there's an author by the name of Byron Katie that does this mental exercise that she calls the work. And this came because she went through a major struggle, and she realized after years of depression and addiction that all that was holding her back were her own thoughts. And when she started asking these questions of herself, when she thought, I'm just going to fail on this diet, I've always failed, I'm always going to fail. And she says, is this true? And the next question is, can you absolutely know that this is true? Well, no, I don't know it's absolutely be true. All I have to do is make some different choices, and I could have a different result. And I'm surrounded by people that are supporting me. I've got a program that works really good for so many people. So if I just applied it, and I have community, I have the habits of health that I can learn from. How do you react? What happens when you believe that thought? Well, if I believe that I'm going to fail, I will probably let myself have that little treat. What's it going to hurt? I had a rough day. I can always get back on. I set myself up for failure. I'll just start again on Monday. Oh, I just blew it. I knew I was going to blow it, so I might as well just give up. Those are the reactions I would have when I believe the thought that I'm going to fail again. But how about the fourth question? Who would you be without that thought? What if you thought you could be successful? What if you found out not only could you lose weight, but you could create optimal health? You could feel so good surrounded by all those people that care and support you, even to the point where maybe you want to turn around and help somebody else. So it reinforces your health on your journey. What would that be like? What would you be without the thought if you succeeded? I was ready to fail one more time about 3 weeks into the program, because I plateaued for a week. And I thought, see, I can't do it. And I was ready to go buy Oreo cookies, that I'd become a coach by that time. And I was thinking, I can't let her down. I have to be the example for her. And for the first time in my adult life, I found out what was on the other side of doubt. And it was success. I had so much enjoyment in furthering my journey. And so many people have said yes, because I made good choices that would support my desired outcome. So think about that. One of the things that you can ask after you ask those questions, what if you turned it around? Like this one is talking about, my husband should listen to me. Could be turned around to say, I should listen to my husband. If I think, well, I'm just going to fail again. What if I said, would be the opposite of that? I would fail the program again. But it doesn't have to be that way. What could it be like? So you ask yourself questions that will turn it around. Those 4 questions are really critical for long-term success. So what do you see here? Here's an example. Do you see a guy looking at us, or do you see a guy looking to the side? I'm one of those people that see both at the same time. It just flips back and forth when I'm looking at it. But it's perception or perspective, right? Who's right? If you think it's the guy's facing to the side and somebody else thinks he's facing to the front, is somebody wrong? Is somebody right? Could it just be perception? Could perception be truth? Could it be factual, or could it just be a perception and not having all the facts? So when you're thinking and going through some of your thoughts, evaluate them. Are they true, or do you just think they're true? And they might be true, but go through those 4 questions and ask yourself, is it true? Do you absolutely know it to be true? So what do you see here? What emotion does this evoke? What thoughts does it trigger? When I first saw this photo, I thought this guy looked like he's going to jump. or he was standing in a very unsafe way that he was being very risky. And then I realized his knees are bent. He's probably just leaning up against something. Maybe it's not as risky, but what thoughts went through your head? Were they true? Did you know what was really going on? Or did you just let your thoughts decide for you? That's the question I'm going to ask you as you go through some of these other pictures. What's going on here? What are your thoughts? What do you think her thoughts are? Write down what you think she's doing, why she's in that position. What body language do you see? What thoughts do you think she's having? First time I saw it, I thought it was discouragement. Then upon looking further, I thought, well, maybe she's praying. It could be either one. I don't know. But if I put my thought on her, I could be wrong. So there's asking a question. If you're having thoughts and you're not sure, communicate. If there's an unhealthy relationship, instead of assuming what's going on in their head, ask them. If you're not getting the answers, then look at your thoughts. How about this one? Ah! You ever felt like that? What did you do with those thoughts? Is it okay to express them and then keep expressing them and keep expressing them? What can happen if that keeps going on? And how much is it from the thoughts and how much is something that she could do something about? How much is it going to be where she's thinking, what if, like this next person? Doesn't she look fearful? She looks scared. What if? What if this thing goes wrong? What if I can't do this program? What if I can't, there's coaches on here. What if I can't help others? What if I fail them? What if? Spend the time. That's all it is a thought. What if you said instead, what if? What if I could help this person? What if I did do well in this program? What if? In a positive way. Just the tone, the demeanor can change the thought. It's amazing how our thoughts can dictate what's going on in our life. Ah, did I scare anybody? How many of you have a fear of snakes? This one's not going to hurt you, obviously. Now, rationally, can you think that? If you have a fear of snakes, does a two-dimensional picture of a snake set you off as though it were a real one? All it is a thought right now. If you look a little closer at the snake, if you can look at it, if you have a fear, and if you don't, look at it. It's amazing. Look at those little scales on it. They're just perfectly formed. The eyeballs look like they're those like tiger eye stones. Look at the texture on its body. Its tongue pretty poised to be sticking out pretty soon. It is crazy how cool that is. Yet I would not touch a real snake. And if I saw that, I know to have fear of it and get out of there. So there's two ways to look at a thought. This one, there is no risk involved. It was just a thought if I was afraid of it. Now a real snake, there is a real fear. If you can recognize it, evaluate your thoughts, is this legitimate or am I putting fear on myself through my thoughts? What do you guys see when you see this one? If you notice it's a zip line going over the ocean from our cruise that we just got back from with a lot of health coaches, some of you would go, oh my gosh, I could never do that. And others like, oh my gosh, that would be so fun at camp. I would love to do something like that. Going like Superman over the ocean, looking down on it. That was the coolest experience. But what if I was scared? I actually was with somebody right beforehand on a different ride, that different zip line, and they were scared. And we just talked it through. And I said, just think about the exhilaration you're going to see in all, when you're going over the water, look for the things that are in there. See if you can see the rocks through the beautiful colors and watch how the vibrant color. She started looking at differently. And on the other end of it, she was ecstatic. All from the thoughts. It's the same experience. How are we looking at it with our thoughts? It was so cool, guys. I challenge you to do something like that someday. So food for thought. As you saw those pictures and I evoked all kinds of emotion in you, what were you thinking when you went through there? And were you asking yourself some of the thoughts? Why were you having some of those thoughts? I might have been talking too much that you didn't have any thoughts around it. Or you may have said, oh my gosh, that reminded me of when, and it held you back and you started letting your mind drift. If you have thoughts like that, evaluate them. It's okay. Why am I having thought? And if there is a thought that is holding you back, instead of repeating it and obsessing over it, stop, challenge, why am I thinking that? What's going on? How could it be different? What could I put in place? Who could I reach out to? What activities could I do to change the mood? How could I get that hug? What could I do? I could exercise. If I don't have time for that, I could just shout out a gratitude statement. So now when it comes to food, literally food for thought, What do you see here? She's trying to make a choice between the cupcake and the apple. She looks like she's at a healthy weight. She looks like she'd probably just exercised not too long ago, although she has nice makeup on, but she looks like she might be in a workout top. She could have that cupcake. If she's on the 5 and 1, not even the apple. Did that occur to you? Did you break down your thoughts and what you thought? If you're on the 5 and 1, did you say, oh, she can't have either one of them? And did you say it was like a denial, or that she couldn't because she's on a mission to create a healthier body? What's going through your head? Oh my gosh, did I just trigger somebody? Now you want to go out and get a hamburger? Would you believe this grosses me out now? In the past, it would have been something like, yum, licking my chops and couldn't wait and would eat the whole thing, have to figure out a way to get my little mouth over that big bun. But when I look at it now, I seriously, it grosses me out. Same hamburger. Thank goodness it's not tempting enough that you could grab it right now, because again, it's two-dimensional. Thoughts. Did I just trigger you to want to go out and get a hamburger? Will you be blaming me because I showed this photo and you had no choice but to go out and get a hamburger? Did you ask yourself to stop, challenge, and choose why that hamburger would be more important than your health journey? You could have a hamburger on occasion if you're at your healthy weight. Even if you're not, it's your choice. But you choose, will this support your desired outcome if you eat this hamburger? What if you wanted it so badly and you knew you couldn't get this hamburger because it was in a state you were visiting and you haven't been there in years, and somebody just ranted and raved? Maybe you could have a little piece of theirs. Would it be okay? Or would you say, you know what, not worth it, because I know tomorrow I won't be in fat burning and it'll kick me out and I won't have that energy and I'll be a little disappointed in myself? Or you could say, you know what, I'm gonna have this little piece knowing it might kick me out of fat burn for a little while, but I'm making it as a choice, not as a trigger. And you could say, I'm perfectly good with that, knowing it'll slow down my progress a little bit. You get to choose, but it's your choice and it's based on your thoughts. If you're rationalizing it, denying it, or you're saying something that, well, I can just start on Monday, is that a healthy thought? Or is it, you know what, I want to be able to know that I could have this and get right back on program. But are you lying to yourself thinking, oh, I did that 5 times last week and I didn't? Really evaluate your thoughts. How about this one? Okay, this is, Dr. A says it's kryptonite for him to have a chocolate chip cookie around. He asked his daughters not to make him in the house because he can't resist them. I'm there with him. Chocolate chip cookie, especially the way that looks. In the past, I would have said, I got to get me some of that. I did it every day for 30 years saying, today I won't have any chocolate. And this is what I could give in to the easiest. Today, I can have chocolate on occasion, but I am at my healthy weight and I can choose to do it. I just have to do it in limitations. And I need to know, I don't do it very often, and I do my very best to only have it if somebody is with me, so I won't go back to some old patterns. But did that trigger someone? Is it my fault if you go get a chocolate chip cookie? You would be below the line to say that. What this is doing is I'm trying to desensitize you and help you with the thought process that if you're aware of the thought, you won't lie to yourself. I went into the store and I'd say, oh, I'm just gonna go get, and I'd say, you know, some groceries. And then I would, I won't go to the candy aisle, but then I'd look at the candy aisle. Well, maybe just see if there's anything on sale. Well, there's 3 for $1. I could get 3 and then make it last for 3 days. I'd have it gone before I even got home. I lied to myself so many times, repeating the same pattern. You've heard about that. That's the definition of insanity. I was insane, very much so, to the point where I became a hermit, hiding from people, from that shame and guilt that I talked about earlier. Because of a chocolate chip cookie, because of M&Ms, because of Hershey bars. For crying out loud, I traded my life in of health, well-being, good relationships, finances for a cookie and cheap M&Ms. Not worth it. Not worth it. I like a life of vitality to have it occasionally, not because I have to, not because I'm feeding an emotion, not because I'm stressed, not because I'm angry, but because it tastes really good. And I enjoy it for that moment. But I had 1 or 2 instead of 5 or 9 or 100. Never had 100. That might be a little exaggeration. But if they were in the house, it was hard to resist. They called my name. Anybody else like that? So how could I stop the thought? First, look away. Literally, if you see them in a kitchen, turn away and walk away. I've actually even bought something and then filled the container with water and put it in the trash or down the garbage disposal, because I had a little bit of it and I thought, you know what, I'm going back for more when I don't want it. So I thought it'd be better to waste it down the garbage disposal than put it on my waste and feel guilty about it. So you make choices. You're aware of your thoughts. Are you going to the pantry because you're bored, because you're stressed, or are you going to the pantry because it's time to eat something? And what are you choosing? If you're on the 5-on-1, do you notice anything about this? Have you thought, would this be a good choice for me? Oh, well, so what if it has a watermelon on it? The rest of it's really healthy. Oh, it has blueberries too? Well, you know, they're good for you, but you're on the 5-on-1. Were you rationalizing it? Did it have a lot of dressing on it? Is it going to be more condiments than you're supposed to have? Is it going to be more carbohydrates or fruit on the 5-on-1? Are you asking those questions? If I have this, will it be a healthy choice for me on the 5-on-1? But if you're not on the 5-on-1, this is a really healthy choice. This is the kind of salad I absolutely love. And believe it or not, it's not making me hungry. But I have dinner waiting for me. I'm having dinner a little bit late, and I would eat something like this so that I could enjoy that. So does that make sense? I hope that's very helpful for you guys to really break it down into the actual thought process. Well, so-and-so made it for me. I really don't want to hurt their feelings. Have you given in? Is it really that their feelings that you're going to hurt, or are you thinking are you rationalizing? Are you denying? Are you being honest with yourself? Or could you say to your friend, oh gosh, that looks so good. I would love to have it. Your cooking is so amazing. But you know what? Right now, I'm really concentrating on my health, and it doesn't support my plans right now. But later on, I'd love to have it if you prepare it for me again. What do you think? There are ways to handle it. It's not this or that. Evaluate it. Challenge the thought. How about this one? Well, it's fish, right? Fish is on the program. Do you guys notice anything about the 5-on-1 plan? Maybe it doesn't qualify on that, does it? I actually had some, well, it was chicken. Yeah, it was deep fat fried with breadcrumbs all over it, but it was chicken. So we can rationalize. Somebody will say, oh, I'm doing the plan perfectly. They might not realize that frying their food is not the best choice for their lean and mean. It won't support the 5-on-1. And even afterwards, I don't eat deep fat fried foods. I don't know about you guys, but that's just not something that appeals to me anymore. But it took years. It wasn't overnight. I had M&Ms for my first meal after I got out of transition. Confession time. Then after a while, when I started working out, 300 calories burning there, and I thought, why would I waste that on eating a pack of M&Ms? I started choosing health over taste. How about this? Almonds are good. I have almonds in my house. What is it on the 5-on-1? This is too much for the 5-on-1. If I have a bag or it's sitting out where it's a temptation, nuts are about a draw to me like chocolate used to be. Not quite as bad, but they're a healthy fat, right? You can rationalize, but it's quantity depending on where you're at on your journey. Even if you are at your healthy weight, if you have too many, that's not a good thing for your body. So be aware of your thoughts. Be present. Be aware of your thoughts. Evaluate what's going on in your head. Is it true? Do you absolutely know it to be true? How do you react, and what do you do when you think it's true? Oh, I can just go back on the 5-on-1. You'll give in. If you say, you know what, this doesn't support my desired outcome, you resist. And you move on to a healthier choice. Now, not in the weight loss phase right now. What I'll do is if I say, I can't have that because I've given myself I don't want to have refined sugar, but I could have this. And so I'll give myself something that's kind of a compromise between, I don't compromise on the 5-on-1, but I'd compromise in just having optimal health. So I'm going to show you these pictures really quick. This is what do you see when you look at these pictures? Gone past the food part, and we're looking at this guy. Do any of you have resentment towards him because he has something you don't? How many think, oh, I'd love to have that, and are envious? And how many say, you know what, I'm actually going to do that one of these days, or you know what, I don't desire that. Look at your thoughts. What are you doing? What's going through your mind? Same with this. Is it a different feeling? Do you see the joy that could be in the environment, or do you see that, I'd not want to live on water, that'd be scary, or what goes through your head? What are your thoughts? This happens to be our backyard. Yeah, I love it. It brings me joy. And then these kids on the beach, that brings me joy to see those cute little kids in the water. That's such a beautiful thing. What goes through your head? Does it bring back memories for you? Good memories, negative memories? Does it make you want to be at a beach? Or does it say, gosh, that's not the way I want to live? And maybe this is. Think about your future. Why are you trying to create a healthier body, a healthier mind? Take yourself to that creative place where it's like, what could it look like? What could my life look like? What things could I put in place? What decisions am I making today that will support my desire for the outcome of whatever it is you're looking for? Share it with your coach. Let them know what kind of life you want to live. Are you doing the things that will support it? Are you working on your healthy mind so that you could have it? So when you see this lady here, what is your reaction to her versus this lady? Do you see a difference? They're similar looking, but do you see a difference in their attitude? Do you think their thought life is a little different from each other? At least in these pictures, it sure looks like one has an attitude and one seems to have joy. How about this lady? She seems really at peace with herself. Beautiful. Look at her eyes. She has a sparkle to them, a beautiful smile. I'd like to know somebody like that. Do we attract people in our life because of that kind of look on her face? How about this guy? Some of you guys might be envious or say, I'm gonna look like that one day. And others like, yeah, he thinks he's so cool. What's your thought? Same guy, don't know anything about him, but you might have an opinion. How about this lady? Envious? She must be like full of herself. She has to stare at herself in the mirror. Or she's like, I can't believe it. I've lost 100 pounds. And now look what I've been able to accomplish. My life is inspiring so many people. It could be a whole different thing, but we can have judgment on someone. This is another person I'd like to meet. She looks like fun. How about this guy? Oh, he just makes me laugh seeing that smile. I couldn't resist. Where do you want to live your life? Do you want to be in the fear mode, or do you want to be in this joyful place, having a life of gratitude? Whenever those thoughts come in that are holding you back or having you think negatively, if you could just think of a smiling face like that. I can even hear him laughing. How about this guy? He's free. He's free. Find those moments. Fill your cup. How about this lady? Talk about feeling free. Gorgeous photo. Could you see yourself doing something like that, or at least feeling like that on the inside, or going to a place like that, just taking it all in? How about this guy? Is that where you'd like to be? Outstretched arms. Remember that cocoon at the beginning? It's the struggles, mind or for real, that take us through getting stronger and stronger and stronger till we turn into that butterfly. It's the struggles that make that butterfly so strong and beautiful. That's what you're creating right now. Your thoughts will take you there sooner than if you hold yourself back with your thoughts. So keep that in mind. Food for thought in more ways than one. You guys have a good night.
This audio may have contained the personal testimonials of some OPTAVIA coaches or clients of OPTAVIA. The results relayed in these messages are based on the unique experiences of the participants, and we cannot guarantee like or similar outcomes. While you may be inspired by these accounts, please note that any stories of success have not been verified, and your individual path to optimal health will vary. As always, it is our recommendation that you consult with a healthcare provider before starting a weight loss program. Yours in health, the OPTAVIA team.